Okay, so what I'm going to talk about today is how to make your own electrolyte and also how to make an energy drink from that electrolyte. What I did is I used this very well known electrolyte salts supplement as a guide and made my own formula. Now, this is a spreadsheet I devised for what I do professionally, which is chefing and restaurant consulting. I don't do that anymore, thank goodness. But occasionally somebody asks me a question. This is just something I have designed. I've used it over the years. It's just format for writing a recipe, a formula. Recipe and formula mean the same thing. This is a salt stick formula. It comes right off the back label. All of these quantities are exactly what you have here. Now, the salt stick label measures everything in milligrams. My spreadsheet works based on grams, so I translated milligrams and micrograms to grams. And you can see there's less than 1 gram, about 2/3 of 1 gram, and that's how much of the chemical salts you'll find in one capsule. Okay, there's one capsule, and that's the quantities. This is exactly the same. Now, I then multiplied that, because that's a very small amount, by 100, because there's 100 servings. So when you do that, you get, instead of 0.66 grams, you get 66 grams. Now, that's a useful amount that you can measure using an appropriately accurate scale. And when you look at these multiplied times 100, you get this amount. Okay, so this is still not a huge amount. What does this cost you? This container costs at least $30, maybe $35, depending on where you are. It's very well known and respected supplement used by lots and lots of athletes. It works. I've been using it, and I needed that because the conditions for riding in Thailand are not easy. It's hot and it's humid. You sweat a lot. You lose a lot of your electrolytes. Now, I'm going to talk about what these electrolytes are, and I do that a little bit in a video presentation I'm going to append to this screen sharing. But anyway, that's what that is. You're not going to make either of those. That's just for reference. And there's, you can see what I've done matches this. Now, what you want to make are the formulas that I created. And there's two of them. One for making the electrolyte base and one for making an energy drink. And I'll get into those. It's easy. Don't be intimidated. The directions are written very clear and plain. Anybody that's ever whipped up a batch of iced tea or Kool-Aid or lemonade can do this. It's not hard. The only thing you have to do is buy the chemicals, and they're widely available on the web, probably even at your pharmacy, and get some of these. So you want to look around, find where to get it, what size packs, etc., and how much it costs. But the bottom line is this: you can pay $30, $35 for 100 salt stick capsules, and the instructions on the salt stick jar tell you use up to 10 capsules per day. Okay, so what's that? That's $3.50 per day if you're exercising hard and for a long enough duration. Now, you only use 1 capsule per hour of exercise. Okay, so that's not going to happen very often where anybody will use 10 capsules. But that's their advice. On the other hand, you can buy the chemicals that are necessary for about $35 and make thousands of portions. Thousands of portions. Why is that? Well, if you look at the ingredients here, look at sodium and chloride. Percent of the total amount of ingredients, about 83% of the total amount of 66 grams is sodium and chloride. Sodium chloride, that's salt, any salt. Okay, salt is cheap. So why do you want to pay $35 for a whole bunch of salt and a little bit of chemicals? Why not do what the Unabiker does? Spend $35 on a boatload of chemicals and use whatever salt you have around the house. Everybody owns salt. All right. But the chemicals, some of them are quite cheap. You can buy 100 grams. That's basically the pack size I bought. You can buy 100 grams for $3 or $4. A couple of these chemicals are actually more expensive, like the calcium citrate. That's a popular supplement. It comes with vitamin D3 because vitamin D3 helps the body take up the calcium. And that stuff can be maybe $12 for, I forget how many capsules, 60 capsules. But anyway, in a capsule, there's enough of that stuff to make bunches of portions. In fact, the container I bought of calcium citrate will make about 2,000 portions of electrolyte based formulation. So this recipe here just tells you the ingredients, how many grams of each, and what percentage of the total each ingredient represents, just like on the back label of many canned goods. You can read it and see. Then down here is the instructions on how to make this. Now this is a two-step recipe. The first step is you're going to combine all of these ingredients, mix it with water, and that's your base formulation. All right. From that base, you'll then make the step 2, the electrolyte drink. And so you're only using a very small amount of base. Let me get rid of that. You're only using a very small amount of base solution to make the drink. In fact, you're using 1 tablespoon, about 15 milliliters. That's the same as 15 grams if you weigh it out. And you add that to 1.5 liters of water, and you end up with 1.5 liters of base solution. Now that, the reason I did that this way is because it equals 100 portions, the same as 1 jar of salt stick. All right, once you've made that, you put it in your fridge and it's there. Okay. And then to make the electrolyte drink, which is actually what goes in your water bottle and on your bike, you take 15 milliliters of that and mix it with 700 milliliters of water. Put it in a water bottle, put it on your bike, and drink it. All right. If you have hot weather or you exercise hard, make enough for 2 water bottles. But that's all there is to it. All right. Now, an energy drink is a different matter. Energy drinks, most riders do not need an energy drink. An energy drink is designed to give you carbohydrate fuel in a form that the body can rapidly get into the bloodstream and use during the exercise. Now, you will never need an energy drink under ordinary circumstances for a ride that lasts less than an hour. And most riders will probably never need an energy drink, even if they're riding for 2 hours, because they're just not riding that hard. Okay. You have to use your own judgment, and I'll give you some information on how to make that judgment properly for your level of exercise and the duration. So to that end, and I'm not going to really go into explaining all of this. It's really simple. You're going to take that step 2 electrolyte drink, 700 milliliters, and you're going to add 60 grams of glucose and 30 grams of fructose. Now, these are two things that are also widely available and not expensive. These are nothing but forms of sugar. Sugar is a carbohydrate. Your body takes up carbohydrates in these forms really quickly and efficiently and helps get that into your bloodstream to power your muscles. Muscle contraction is what it's all about, and this is what you need. All right? So, very simple formulas. Anybody can make it, and you're going to save yourself a whole lot of money. All right? And you're only going to put into it what you want. If you read a bottle of Gatorade ingredients, there's different stuff in there. You may or may not be bothered by what they put in there, or you might not want it at all. In this fashion, you can control exactly what goes in there. So it's simple. Now, I've written these notes. Now, there's quite a bit of notes in here, but it's clearly written, it's well written, and it's simple to read, and it'll only take you about 10 minutes to read through this. But this tells you all about electrolytes. Okay, the important electrolytes your body needs electrolytes to be replaced during exercise, because when you exercise, you sweat it out. And what mostly comes out in sweat is sodium chloride. So that's why sodium chloride is the major ingredient in an electrolyte supplement. The other stuff, magnesium and potassium, are really important, okay, because magnesium is going to help prevent you from having cramps before, during, or after exercise. And if you're an older person like me, what happens when you get old is you get these crazy, debilitating muscle cramps in the middle of the night that wake you up. I never knew about this. It's part of what you learn about. They don't want to tell you all in advance. You just figure it out. What's going on with my body? Well, old people get really severe muscle cramps in their legs in the middle of the night. Well, once I started taking the electrolyte supplements regularly, I stopped having that. Potassium is also one of those things you need to put back into your body. So this will tell you a little bit about it. But if you really want to learn more about it, there's a website, and I attach it to these notes right here, by a company in the UK that makes supplements. But they're not just touting their brand. They're giving you really good information. I'd say that's well worth browsing through that website, because it gives you more information than you probably want, but it's worth reading it. You'll get what you don't know from that website. Anyway, the important thing about electrolytes I've already talked about a little bit, and I'll read it here. 1 jar of salt stick, 100 capsules, sells for $35. Sodium chloride, that's ordinary salt, comprises 83% of the total formula. We know that salt is inexpensive, so why pay a premium for it when you can easily make the drink with your own supplements? That's a typo, and I'll have to fix that. Instead of paying a lot for mostly salt, plus scant amounts of the other important chemicals, it makes better sense to spend the money to buy large amounts of the special chemicals required, make your own stuff, and use whatever old ordinary salt you have at home. You can make thousands of portions for $35. Why would you want to spend $35 for 100? Okay. It's the same formula basically as salt stick, with very minor alterations, and I explain what those are in here. Important notes to the Unabiker's salt stick formula. Read it. It doesn't take long. You can see for yourself what I've done. Now, hear about reading about glucose and sucrose. Do that too, because this is pertinent for why you may or may not need to have an energy drink. People think, oh, I need to take some juice, or I need to eat a candy bar or something while I'm well. Most of us aren't exercising at a horribly powerful level. And if it's under an hour, you probably don't need energy. All right, you can take it, it's not going to hurt you, it's sugar. But this will tell you all about that stuff and what the science has said. So the stuff that's in here is stuff that I have researched over the years and put in here and for your benefit, for riders' use. So I hope that's of some usefulness. Everybody should have electrolyte drink on their bike for every ride, because you're going to sweat. You're going to lose that stuff, especially if you're riding during the day in the sun. It's dangerous to ride around and just drink water. Okay, I'll put it like that. You should always take an electrolyte drink. An energy drink, maybe. It depends on the level and the duration of the exercise, and this will work well for you. One quick note. The science has said that the maximum amount of glucose that your body can get into the bloodstream is 1 gram per hour, 60 grams per hour. That's the maximum amount. That doesn't mean everybody needs to put 60 grams into their body every hour. No, that's for elite level athletes and elite level performance. Those guys cannot put more than 60 grams into their bodies, just like me. Okay? But they need more than 60 grams, and that became obvious. So what did the people that research this stuff, sports scientists and nutritionists, do? They did studies to see, well, how can we get more fuel into the bloodstream for these types of performers? And they found out that if you use fructose at a ratio of 2 parts glucose to 1 part fructose, you can get 90 grams of carbohydrate into your bloodstream to power your muscles, so that you don't bonk sooner than you have to. Eventually, there's a point of which, and I forget how they describe it, extend your exercise duration until you can't anymore. Okay. I describe it better in these notes. I apologize. I'm talking off the cuff here. Anyway, this is a maximum solution. If you're like me and you're riding hard for an hour and a half in the sun or in the heat like it is in Thailand, you're not going to probably need that much, because I'm nowhere near an elite performer. I might put 30 and 15 into 700 and drink that in an hour. All right. Anyway, read through this. You'll get it. It's not hard. All right. Thanks for paying attention. I hope you find something useful with this.